Hello, everyone. My name is Nelson,
And I'm Nikki.
and welcome to Button Mash Murders.
Hmm.
Just to start off, we realized that we cut the video a little early when we were in the middle of a cutscene, so I'm going to start the game from just before that cutscene. And Nikki, do you want to give us a little backtrack on what we were talking about?
Yes. So the case we're discussing is based on the book American Demon, Elliot Ness, and the Hunt for America's Jack the Ripper by Daniel Stashower. And it's two stories. It's kind of about Elliot Ness, the detective who nabbed Al Capone, and as it said, the America's Jack the Ripper, which to this day is still a mystery.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we got the first chapter down, which talked about the unfortunate discovery of the first victim. And
The
we stopped it there.
seagull that murdered the victim.
The what?
The seagull that murdered the victim.
Yes. But justice was meted.
Yeah,
Yes. And yeah, are we ready to go?
absolutely.
Okay. So one thing that came up in the last episode was the Potter's Field.
Yes. Yes,
And
where
I
where potters are buried.
yeah, many Potters. I, I'm always curious. That's why we're here. So I looked it up and I thought it would be interesting because we were kind of there, but there was a little bit more background on that.
Okay.
So the Potter's Field goes all the way back to the New Testament.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if anybody's familiar with Judas Iscariot, he was given 30 shekels, I think, shekels, talents, 30 units,
Yeah, I'm not sure which it
30
was. Yeah.
something. He was given 30 something of silver and uh to be a betrayer, and he came back and he gave the silver back. And then so the people in the temple were like, "Ah, this is blood money." And so they bought a field from a potter to be used as a burial ground.
For him?
Maybe. I don't know if it's specifically for him, but I know it was supposed to be used for people who were like, you know, unknown, unclaimed, unable to afford burial, etc. etc.
Okay. So
Yeah.
if they wanted to be buried but didn't have the money or the means to set it up ahead of time.
Yeah. Yeah. So even sometimes it would be like a poor family who didn't have the money to afford something. So yeah, it goes really far back. And that's that. All right.
Okay, okay. I'm ready for the new information.
Okay, so chapter 2 is now telling us about the background of Elliot Ness. And this chapter is it's got a little bit going on because we're going to go from his parents emigrating here, his childhood, becoming the detective that he became, Al Capone, all the way to Al Capone dying.
Interesting.
Yes. So, it begins. Let me figure out where it begins. I highlighted, and I'm just going to share it because this threw me off. His schoolmates called him Elegant Mess instead of Elliot Ness.
Elegant mess.
I don't know why the author chose to put that first before like him being born, but it popped out at me. Yep. So his parents, he was born in Chicago on April 19th, probably in 1902. So we know the date, but not the year. Um, there was a mistake in his college records and something to do with birth records. So we don't know for sure.
They don't know his actual like date of birth?
They know the date, like the day, April 19th in Chicago, but
Okay.
not the year for sure. But they think it's 1902. And his parents, Peter and M&S, emigrated from Norway 20 years earlier through Ellis Island in 1881. And this was actually right around the time of the assassination of President James A. Garfield.
Garfield. Okay.
Mhm. His family didn't speak English at the time, Um, they spoke Norwegian, and they pretty much had to do the, like, learn English, hit the ground running kind of a thing.
Okay.
They settled in a Scandinavian enclave in Chicago's South Side neighborhood of Kensington, and they opened a family bakery. And eventually, this bakery grew to 4 locations, and it became kind of like a family thing. So, Elliot Ness grew up working in the bakery, and I think this is an interesting quote, and I highlighted it because he had, like, this reputation for such strict morals and strict honesty. So, he said, "I'm so proud to be the son of 2 people who built a successful business and raised a large family while never cheating anyone out of a nickel."
Wow, that's really good. I
Mhm.
wonder if they ever sold them old bread, or they were just about bored with everything.
Maybe if it was less than a nickel.
Maybe.
So, and I think you might find this part interesting. He was a quiet, self contained child, but he spent a lot of his time reading detective stories, especially Sherlock Holmes.
Very nice.
Mhm.
What other detectives would have been like was the like the Hardy Boys and
Mm,
were they around back then, or was it more like real life detectives?
I don't know. I remember growing up, I used to read Nancy Drew,
Yes.
and there was some of the Hardy Boy stuff around. And I know that at that time, which was in the 80s and 90s, I know that some of it was older, but I don't know if it was like 19, like what was that? It would have been like 1910 old. I don't know. That would be interesting to find out. A note for looking up for later. But yeah, he's described as a boy that was really quiet, and he didn't want to like play army or baseball or like kind of like rowdy boy stuff. He just kind of wanted to keep to himself, or he liked to hang out with the girls, kind of a guy.
Hanging out with the girls.
Yep. Um, he started coming out of his shell in his teenage years due to the influence of his brother-in-law, Alexander Jamie, who was an investigator with the U.S. Justice Department. So he started teaching him, and I quote, to use his fists, drive a car, and handle a gun.
Yeah, that's not necessarily what you would learn at a bakery, so it's probably
No,
good knowledge.
definitely not at the bakery or playing
Yeah.
house. So, yeah. And then here's probably another influence for him with his, values of integrity and honesty. So Jamie was known to have refused huge bribes in the course of his duties. So he had a reputation for being very courageous and moral. Bribes were a big thing back then.
Yes.
So Ness idolized him, and they found a lot of newspaper clippings that he would save and kind of put into scrapbooks that detailed his brother in law's activities.
Yeah, it seems like a very detective thing to have, like a crime board and just a bunch of sticky notes and pads everywhere.
Yeah, I've read ahead a bit, and actually, he pretty much had a lot of those to do with Al Capone, with Prohibition, with his brother in law, his own cases, and he just scoured those and kept them. And which was also kind of useful when people were trying to write books afterwards. So 1919, specifically October, was the start of prohibition with the passing of the National Prohibition Act, known informally as the Volstead Act.
So I'm assuming around that time is where the family most likely started to lose some of the bakeries because no one could afford to, you know, go to a bakery or do other stuff that was more outside of your normal, you know what I mean. They couldn't.
Because they were spending all their money on beer?
No, because other people didn't have the money to support businesses anymore.
Hmm, I don't know. It doesn't say anything about that.
So, well,
Let's see. He graduated at the top of his class in 1921. but he didn't want to go to college. So he just bounced around doing manual labor. He worked in a munitions factory, he dipped radiators.
Dipped radiators?
That's what it says. I don't know what radiators are dipped into. That would be another question to answer.
I mean, I guess you can chrome them. They chromed everything back then. I just never heard the term dipped radiator.
Yeah, dipping radiators at an auto plant.
Hmm.
So that was until his dad pulled him aside and said that he hadn't worked day and night, so his youngest child would be a failure.
Wow.
He was a plain spoken man.
Yeah, I gotta respect that.
So he went out, he bought a suit and a briefcase, and then he enrolled at the University of Chicago. And I guess that's the kind of the way it was back then. You're just like, I want to buy a suit. I'm going to go to college, put my name down.
Yeah, and then you just get it accepted.
Sign me up, boss. And so he did it. His mom said the enrollment first and the announcement later was typical of Elliot.
Yeah, better to ask for forgiveness and permission.
Permission. Um, Surprisingly, he proved to be an indifferent student. He drifted through various majors. He still worked part time at his father's bakery. Um, he was part of a fraternity. He was super into tennis, and he carved out 3 nights a week to study martial arts.
Wow, he was into all kinds of stuff. Probably too many things to actually study, I would guess.
Plus, he drank.
There you go.
It said the problem with the prohibition law, he later wrote, was that such a large section of the public did not believe in it. They were either against it in its entirety or figured it was for the other fellow.
Hmm.
So it seems like he figured it was for the other
He figured
fellow.
he figured it was not his fellow.
Yeah. He graduated in 1925 with a degree in business administration and political science. And he didn't go straight into anything to do with the law. He went to a credit company. He was checking credit ratings and verifying insurance claims. And he said that he didn't like the monotony of an office. So he just started tagging along with his brother in law.
Okay. That's
And
fair.
yeah, he just was going on ride alongs, just hanging out for busts and stuff. And he got to see the city going a transformation at the hands of, and he enters the chat, Al Capone.
So he's not an officer, and then he ends up getting involved with Al Capone. He's just like
Yeah,
a bystander drive.
he's the guy that took him down.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Which I think it's kind of funny because he probably still was drinking at this time. I can't say for sure, but if he was drinking in college, he was probably drinking at this time. But he's also like busting down stills and speakeasies.
Speakeasies,
Yeah,
yes.
speakeasies.
Good old days.
hmm Or maybe not.
No, it was. It was good old days, I think.
It's making me think of, and I'm gonna bring it up later on. If anybody's seen Some Like It Hot, which is a great movie with Marilyn Monroe, and there's a speakeasy scene.
Yeah, we have to watch that. I haven't seen that.
We did.
Really?
You thought it was so funny. Remember,
Man.
it's the 2 guys that are pretty much it's 1950s drag?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah, it just always makes me think of there's an older guy just stumbling around saying, "I want another cup of
That
coffee."
was it was great movie.
Yeah,
Highly recommend it.
um, so when prohibition came into effect in 1920, alcohol was the 5th largest business in the country,
Oh yeah.
and, the laws didn't stop anybody from drinking. So when Capone rose to power, it said that he was ministering to a 20 million a year thirst.
Jeez.
They
That
described him as building his empire like a Gilded Age robber baron.
robber baron. Baron's a cool word.
Mhm.
We should bring back baron.
A
I don't know if they
baron.
use it like in other like Europe or anything, but
Barons and mongers.
yes. Warmongers. We talked about that. Yeah.
Fishmongers. It's saying that he, and this is isn't quite so great. Interlocking networks of bootlegging, extortion, gambling, and prostitution. This,
Bootlegging.
yeah, bootlegging, extorting, gambling, and prostitution.
I don't know why, but bootlegging just makes me think of ripping CDs, which if you're under 30, you probably don't know what that is. But yeah, you grab a Linkin Park CD and then all of a sudden you would have five of the same copy that you can give to your friends.
The good old days of Napster.
Yeah, 90s bootlegging.
Hmm. Yep, just breaking the law. Let's see. So, oh, oh, I thought this was a cool quote. Okay. So Capone said, "You can get a lot farther with a smile and a gun than you can with just a smile."
Very true.
Hmm.
You can't rob a bank with a smile.
So here's something that's kind of interesting. Ness actually developed a grudging appreciation for Capone.
I could see that.
Yeah. It's kind of like, I don't know if there's like these superheroes and villains that are like kind of the opposite side of the coin kind of guys that have like a little bit of like appreciation,
Yeah, anti-heroes.
heroes and
Yeah.
anti-heroes. Yeah, he wrote, together with his ruthlessness, he has the qualities of a great businessman. Under that patent leather hair, he has sound judgment, diplomatic shrewdness, and the diamond hard nerves of a gambler, all balanced by a cold common sense.
Yeah, common sense was what kept you alive back then. It still does now, but I
Mm,
mean, if you're messing around with the mafia, you got to be on your P's and Q's.
hmm I would imagine. Not from experience, but I would imagine.
Oh, and just to let everyone know,
Uh,
there's quite a bit of dialogue in certain areas, so I'm just kind of skipping through it that way you're not getting bored.
well, if it's a part of development in the game, I'm all about hearing about it.
Nah, it's fine.
Mm, well, interrupt me at will. All right. So going forward to set the stage of where these two intersect, Elliot Ness isn't actually in the law enforcement field yet. And the Prohibition Bureau is riddled with corruption at the time. Honest lawmen, members of the public, everybody knows that they are, what do you call that? Hand in pocket?
Hand in pocket.
Pocket in hand. They're sellouts. They're getting money. They're getting a lot of money to look the other way.
Gotcha.
So they're held in high contempt. The public says they're as devoid of honesty and integrity as the bootlegging fraternity.
As a boot.
As a boot. As a tough old boot. The Chicago bootleggers set aside about 1 million to grease the palms of crooked officials a year.
Wow. That was a lot of money back then.
Mm-hmm.
That's a
Yeah,
lot of money now.
it's an investment. So at the time that Elliot Ness wanted to start getting into this, he set his sights on special agency division. He didn't really want to be somebody who's just still stuck in the office. He was sitting around for about a year or so, trying to stand out. And it did happen at first, but he applied for it. He wanted to be part of a small, highly trained mobile force of investigators.
It's like the 18.
Yep. They had a van and everything.
Wow.
No, not really. There's a guy named George Golding, Hard Boiled Golding, as he was known.
Hard boiled.
There's some cool nicknames in
That is
here.
pretty cool.
hmm there was a lot of spotlight on him in the media, and he was rounding up illicit backroom gin mills, bathroom alcohol stills. Yeah,
That toilet wine.
hmm it's the best. Got to get that toilet hooch. So in 1928, Ness got word that he had been approved. This is the time that he starts getting involved. At this point in time, one of the first things that he had gotten into with truckloads of merchandise. Oh, goodness. I'm going to read this word for word.
But please do.
Okay. Ness and his men stopped the trucks, grabbed the drivers, squeezed their balls, and hit them with clubs. It looked as though the shipment would not be delivered.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But then money changed hands and the trucks got through. They say this account should be treated with caution. Uh, yeah, in their view, they said at first Ness was no paragon of virtue, that he bent a few rules and even broke a few rules. But I don't know. We may not want to trust that because it was someone who was kind of like in the mix with Al Capone. So, and here's the part where I was going to actually bring up Some Like It Hot to you.
Okay.
On February 15th, 1929, the Chicagoans awoke to a grim headline of firing squad kills 7 in big gangland massacre. 7 members of the powerful North Side gang, headed by George Bugs Moran, had been gunned down in a murderous fusillade? Fusillade? At their headquarters on North Clark Street. Within hours, the press called it the St. Valentine's Day Massacre.
Okay. I've heard of that. I just didn't know the details behind it.
Yeah. And I was kind of thinking about the opening part of Some Like It Hot where they got caught in the garage, and there's the fictional character Spats, and he has the guys gunned down in the garage, and they're witnesses, and they have to run away, and this is all fictional.
Yes.
But it made me think of that, and I was wondering if it was kind of like a nod to that moment. Everybody has these interesting nicknames, so
Yeah. We need more of that. The nicknames has kind of gotten boring.
yeah.
Like you,
No more bugs, no more
yeah,
spats,
bugs,
no
like
more good-hearted owls or hard-boiled goldings.
hard boiled. Yes.
Mhm. Now, the public, in the absence of any evidence as to who had ordered the killings, assumed that it was Al Capone.
Of course.
Mhm. And here is where I actually thought about another movie,
Okay.
because now it's going to have us back up a little bit to give a little bit of background on Al Capone. And it's not going, straight to his birth and everything, but it's saying that up until this point, he had been kind of like an object of fascination for a lot of people in Chicago.
Hmm. Yes.
And he had a lot of acts of kind of like, I don't know if you'd say service, but yeah, like public charity. He had the biggest soup kitchen in the city, and he had a reputation, and they called him Good Hearted Al. And
Yeah, it's almost like, Robin Hood with a Tommy gun, where they kind of took care of their own and their, just the people in the town.
mhm,
And they had to break a couple necks and rob some people to do it, but they did it.
yeah, it was making me think of The Godfather,
Yes, very much so.
right? And then, oh shoot, I didn't write it down. Do you remember the one movie that it had? Oh man, I don't want to waste a whole bunch of time trying to figure it out. I'm gonna figure it out next episode. I'll bring it up because this one was fictional, but it was the same way. I think it was like an Irish gang in New York where the guy like took care of the community.
Hmm.
So it
Yeah, I
kind of
can't think of
helped
it.
him kind of have people have goodwill to him. Anyways, he didn't start out as a boogeyman, but at the time of the massacre, then people's opinions started to go sour. And this is kind of the linchpin of everything starting. At this time, President Hoover sent for George E.Q. Johnson, and they planned the downfall of what they're going to now call the Capone mob.
Capone mob.
the Capone. So now they want to create a new and improved Capone squad created from the group that George Golding had been leading. And, he was the guy that before was busting down like the small time stalls and stuff. So now Alexander Jamie, the brother in law, I believe, recommended Ness to take charge of the new squad.
Wow, so he went from just kind of like a didn't really care about college, was partying a lot,
Hmm.
to right along
Hmm.
to now I have my own squad.
Yeah. To working in a credit and then initially being like the boring desk guy that nobody cared about. And
Beat cops.
I don't
Well,
I don't think he was ever even a beat cop guy.
wow.
Yeah, he was like the desk jockey guy.
They call them pencil pushers.
They did. They had like the little, the green visors,
Um, I think you're thinking,
and they had the little bands on their arms to hold their sleeves up.
yeah, I'm not too sure about that.
Yeah, I'm kidding here. I'm just going off of stereotypes in movies.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I think that's his brother-in-law who gave him kind of like the sweet deal to recommend him. And the two things that he recommended him for was his reputation for honesty and his coolness, aggressiveness, and fearlessness in raids. I think that sounds pretty cool to
That
be
does sound pretty
described
cool.
as.
That's a great way to be described for a job.
Yeah. So he got the job. They had a clear set of instructions to go out and actually prove that Al Capone is at the head of the liquor conspiracy.
So this guy gets promoted, and his first job is to investigate someone that could probably pay off many, many policemen if he wanted to.
Yeah, there wasn't really anybody that he wasn't paying off at that point in time. He pretty much owned the city. He wanted to pick up where hard-boiled Golding had left off,
Hard boiled.
but he wanted to make some changes. He wanted men that could not be bought. And I don't know if I've raised the name the Untouchables, but that's part of where their future nickname came from. Is the
I
fact,
had no idea.
yeah, because these men could not be bought. The kind of thing where they could get a certain amount left on their desk on a Monday, that's more than they would make in an entire year.
I'm sure. I
Hmm.
can't imagine how much money they could get.
Yep. He was to have a squad of 12 men, and he said he wanted single men, no older than 30, with both the mental and physical stamina to work long hours and the courage and ability to use fist or gun.
So why single?
Mm, I think probably because they could put in more hours and they would be less afraid if their families were threatened, you know?
Okay. I guess that makes sense.
Mm. That's not what he got, though.
No, I can't imagine there was many willingly single people back then when, everyone was trying to live the American dream.
Yeah, he got older guys who actually called him um, the Boy Scout.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty accurate name.
Yeah. Well, he looked young. He actually he was pretty straight laced and he was pretty new on the scene. So it was kind of like, oh, okay, here's this little Boy Scout who's going to order us around. Most of them had families. It wasn't really what he asked for, but the most important thing was he did get honest men.
I think we have to call it there. We're at time right now.
Oh, really?
We're at time, but
Oh, okay.
if you want to know more, check out episode 3.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching, everyone.
Bye, guys.